Hello, welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is Rex Arthur Show, and it is the LGBTQ channel with the LGBTQ perspective and discussing LGBTQ issues with a humanistic approach. And today we are going to focus on art, Rex Arthur's Art Gallery. And this is going to be having rainbow art, LGBTQ art, and I think I'm going to combine everything together. I will not have a different gallery. Of course, I've done it for music. Music, I had to differentiate so that we can uplift the LGBTQ musicians in the world, and you do this by putting a playlist only for rainbow music or LGBTQ music. Then I have a playlist for any music, whether it's an LGBTQ artist or not. That's called Rex Arthur's Music Box. And that one has everybody else who is not necessarily gay but has very nice songs. But I have to have a playlist for rainbow musicians, LGBTQ musicians, to uplift them. It's like what you do in the women empowerment movement. Sometimes you have to put women, give them positions to encourage them to rise until they'll rise to a point whereby there'll be no need to have positions for them. And even now for rainbow music, or even if they still have, they will get to a point whereby people will be used to having women as leaders. So this is the same thing happening in the LGBT community. We have to let LGBTQ people be. Now, I want us to look at today from our rainbow art section. I do not know who did this painting, but it was showing us how transgender people are, and I love it. It is my best trans art so far, and I want us to analyze it. So in this playlist of Rex Arthur's Art Gallery, or LGBTQ Art Gallery, or Rainbow Art Gallery, here we're going to be studying different art pieces that are in the LGBTQ theme or world. And so this guy or lady, I don't know who he was or who she was, did a very fantastic description of who a trans person is. By trans person, I mean a transgender, even a transvestite, a transsexual, all of the trans people transgender, transsexual, transvestite, and I don't know about transhuman. As you know, there's a new movement, the 21st century movement of transhumanism. But transhumanism is different. It means you are half human, half alien, or half weirdo, so weird, you're not a human. That's what transhumanism is all about. And it has bionics and robotics involved, robotics merging with natural physical features. So it's metal combined with human nature, metal, because most robotics are made of metal. There is no robotic that is made of human nature, but it's going to happen one day, and as time goes on. Now, I was impressed by this because the transgender person actually looks like this. So you can see this is the symbol of the woman, the pink, the purple cross. I call it the cross these days. And the cross is the symbol of femininity, and it has stabbed this person who happens to be a transgender. And then you also have the arrow coming out of the mouth. The arrow is a symbol of the man coming out of the person. So he's maybe calling himself, I am a man, but he's being stabbed by femininity to show that he is also a feminist. Or I don't know why he was stabbed. This looks like a guy, and he's been stabbed by the female cross. And as he's being stabbed, he is saying he is a man. So it's very interesting artwork. But how I interpreted it was that, the person, I think he was assigned to be he was assigned to be, maybe he was assigned female, no, not female, because he's wearing male clothes, so most likely he was assigned to be male and therefore says he's a male, but he has feelings that he is most likely a woman, and therefore the cross stabbed him when he said, when he said, I'm a male, and then the cross entered him and said, no, you're not, you are female. And that's why when he's stabbed, when you're stabbed, what happens is you die. So his male person was killed by the female desire, that he has feelings to be female, but he knows that he was born male. So the artwork shows us the struggles of a trans person. They always go through that struggle. I want to be a man, but I was born a woman. Or I want to be a woman, but I was born a man. Maybe I don't need to have a dick. Maybe I need to have a vagina. I don't want to have a vagina. I want to have a dick. I don't want to play with girls. I want to play with boys because I feel like I'm a man. I'm a boy. I don't cry. And the other one says, oh, I love being with girls, talking to girls, and I don't really like being in men's company. I think I should have been born a girl. This is the struggles that trans people go through. Now, not all trans people go through a very bad life. There are some trans people who, when they feel like they want to be in another sex physically, they just change. They transition, and they transition very well with no problem, and they acquire the new sex. I have seen some transgenders who are very happy about their transition to their new assignment, and others go through a hard time, and mostly these are the ones who maybe don't really want to transition, even if they are trans. They are naturally trans. And first of all, you need to understand transgenderism is natural. That's the biggest news you've had to hear. Transgenderism and transsexuality are natural dispositions. This is because the human sexuality is not only physical, external physicality. That when you look at the external organs of a human being, then you can determine their sex. No, human sexuality is holistic. It involves hormonal infrastructure. It involves psychological infrastructure. It involves internal organ infrastructure. It involves bone structure. It involves even brain structure. There are some men that have feminine brains, or brains that belong to women, in the sense that they are more interconnected and small. Women tend to have smaller brains than men. And there are some men who have those brains. Then there are also women who have very big brains, like men. And so the brain structure, this woman may have a vagina, but she has a brain of a man. You see? So this is telling us that humanity is diverse, and when it comes to sexuality, humanity is sexually diverse. And this is why we are understanding and we are insisting on staying with science, because science is changing the perspectives we've had. You see, in the past, people never understood transgenders. People never understood homosexuals because there was no science to explain who they were. And so the religious people came in and decided to explain it, and they gave a very wrong explanation. And the wrong explanation became the truth. And now we are undoing those truths because they are not truth, they are lies. It is a fact that hormonal imbalance can give somebody a different sexuality other than what many people have. And so that is what it is. So now that we have the science, the science should reform religion. That's why we have what is called reform religion. Reform religion means reforming religion to fit in the contemporary times, where we have accepted science and we have believed and we know that human sexuality is diverse. It's a fact. You can't fight that. It is a fact. And of course, for many people, the problem many people face is they have been brainwashed to believe that there is only dual sexuality. You know, many people, even when I grew up, when I was a child, I didn't know that when I was growing up, I just knew that human sexuality is dual. You know, everything came through the lessons we've had these days in society. And society, the society has been taught that there is a man and there is a woman. And now, as I grew up and I had my feelings, I knew I was gay, I was different. I used to ask myself, who am I sexually? And I used to do very weird things that not many boys were doing. And it is until I read and got to have the understanding and the science that I became aware. And now the knowledge I have, I'm using it to wash out all the false teachings I received from the society and religion. And that's what we are supposed to do. That's why education is very important in this time and age. As you've seen in Netherlands, they are pushing for sexual education to young children. It's important because children need to understand that they are not bad the way they are. You know, that because you are a different sexuality, they should understand that. So, I loved this artwork, and it is showing you how the war that goes on in the mind of a trans person, because a trans person can say he's a man, but he's actually a woman. And a trans person can also say he's a woman and he's actually a man. He doesn't really know. So it's understandable. It's a psychological state of a trans person. And this is not the psychological state of a homosexual. Neither is it the psychological state of a lesbian or a bisexual. This is the psychological and therefore physiological state of a trans person. Yeah, so I just love it. I love looking at it because it explained to me transgenderism, transsexualism, transvestitism in one word. Beautiful, beautiful. I can talk about art forever because, you know, like trans art, it means there are people who are, you know, a man, when a man wears a woman's clothes, you know, it can have an effect on you. That's why even the old people in the past didn't like that. But they were transvestites, and they were transgenders, and they were transsexuals. In fact, to me, most transvestites were actually transgender people, because it is not, a man will wear a man's clothes. I mean, why should you tell a man not to wear a woman's clothing unless that man has a desire to wear women's clothing? You see? That's what people don't understand about trans, the sexual theory of being a trans person. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep on showing more artwork as the days go by.